Hi, Sally here, and today I'm going to continue my series on Cricut Design Space, and we're going to talk about shapes. So let's click on our Shapes button here. And as you can see here in the top section, there is a bunch of free shapes. And then down here are some included with your Cricut Access subscription. And then you can search for more, which will bring you over 8,000 other shapes. So there's lots of shapes. Okay, so we don't want that. We're gonna cancel. We're just gonna work with these free ones today. So the most basic one that I use the most is probably the square. So I'm gonna click on that. They have some rounded squares, a rounded rectangle, lots of different shapes, but we're going to work with this one. And I thought I'd go across the top here and show you a bunch of different stuff. Okay, so starting with here, there is the undo button and the redo button. So you can undo, and that will undo the last thing you did, and then redo. So basically it just moved my square. Okay, so then you need to have it selected so it will have these little squares around it, and anyway, it will look like this. And over here on the right, it will be highlighted in green to show it is selected. So once you have it selected, all these are available to do. So the first thing is the operation. So basic cut is what it's going to do. Basically, the Cricut will just cut out a square for you. If you click the little drop down arrow, it will give you a bunch of different options. If you have a wavy or a perforate blade for your Cricut, you can click those, or you can draw. You can have it draw with a pen, and it'll just draw the outline of the square. You can foil it. It'll look the same. Score it. You can deboss or engrave. Again, you need special tools for your machine for those. Or you can do a print then cut, which means it would print it on your printer, this color, and then you would put that paper that came out of your printer on your Cricut mat, and the Cricut would cut it out. Let's just go back to basic cut. Next to that is a square that is gray. So it's the same color as this square. This is to change your color. So, you know, say you want an orange square, and you can just click on that. If you have a more specific color in mind, you know, you're in orange and you can change it to whatever color. Oh, and you can move this, I think. Maybe not. Anyway, you can change it to a bunch of different colors, okay? And then here is a hex code. So if you know precisely the hex code that you want the color to be, you can type that in there. So let's just choose white. And then once we have this selected, you can see here it says deselect. So if you don't want to select it, then you click on that, which means we can't do anything except select all. Okay, so now we're selected again. And here is an edit drop-down menu. I don't usually use this button. I think it's kind of new. But these are kind of like word processing type editing tools: cut, copy, paste, duplicate, and delete. So mostly probably all I use is the duplicate or delete. I don't usually use this, but they're there if you want them. Okay, and then the next tool is grayed out. It is align. So you need more than one thing to use the align. So let's actually go back here to the edit. And I will show you, there's a few different ways you can make more than one copy of the thing. So say you need more than one square. You can do that. Here it shows you the keyboard shortcut. You can press Control+D. And that will give you another one. You can come over here to the right. There is this plus with 2 squares. You can click that. That will give you another one. And then if it's selected, you can right click and it will give you all these options. So you can duplicate from there. I think probably the ways I use the most are the right clicking or this little plus sign right here. Okay, so now that we have a bunch, they need to be all selected. So you can either click select all. You can click and drag over everything you want to select, even if you don't get all the parts of them. So if you did that, it would still select all of them. Or you can click over here and that will select one. And if you want to select more than one, you can click on hold your shift key down on your keyboard and click, and that will select 2 of the squares. Okay, so let's select all, and now we can align. So let's actually put these all like this. Okay, so let's select all, and then say we need them all to be the same. So you can click align left, and they'll all get aligned with their left edges together. You can center horizontally. Well, let's see, let's undo that and select all again. And so you can center horizontally. So then they'll all go together like that. You can align them to the right. So then they'll all align with the right edge of the farthest one on the right. You can align the top, and that will all align their tops. You can center vertically. They already are. Or you can align their bottoms. Or you can click center, and they'll all be exactly centered. Okay, so now let's change the color of some of these. That will help to see the next few things. Okay, so I've got these, well, just these 2. I'm going to select these 2, and this arrange button. Why are these not? Oh, okay. So you can't have both selected for this. So let's click this one. So you see this square is on top of this square. So if I say bring to front, then this is on the very front of all the squares, and that one's behind. Or you can just, so say there's this one. As well. So you can send backward, and it will go back 1. And then if you click send back, it will be the very back one. So it will be behind the yellow one. Maybe if I had them like that, it would be better. So let's do that in reverse. So you can bring forward, you can see, these 2 must be behind, technically behind. Okay, and so now it's brought forward in front of the yellow one, but behind the purple one. And then you bring forward one more, and then it's on top. Or if this, let's do the yellow one because it's in the very back. You can just do bring to front, and that will put it right in front so you can see it better. Okay, so flip is not really going to notice, you'll not notice it with a square. So let's pick another shape. Let's pick this half circle. I think that would be a good one to demonstrate this. So flip, you can flip horizontally. So it will flip that way, or you can flip it vertically. Well, I guess that one you can't really tell, but the bottom goes to the top goes to the bottom. This works, well, it's the most dramatic with text, but you get the idea. let's delete this. So to delete something, there are also a few options. There's a little garbage can right here you can click. Again, you can right click and click delete. There's an edit you can delete. So there's a few options. Usually I will use the garbage can or the right click. Okay, so next thing, actually let's use this gold square as offset. So if you want to have another square, well, another one of whatever you have, it can be text, it can be a shape, it can be images, whatever you have, it will add another layer basically. So you click the drop down menu and it will apply it, and you can have it with a rounded corner or a square corner. I think squares probably look better with the square. And then, so you can change the distance. So see, that is 1/4 inch. That's a bit big for me. So you can, if you know the precise what you want, let's say we want 0.1. Okay, you can type that in, or you can just use the slider. And if you want it really big, you can do that. If you want it a little bit smaller, you can do that. Okay, and then you just, it'll give you the preview, and then when you're happy with it, you can click apply. And now here it is. So it is selected over here on the right. It says offset, and it's automatically black. If you want it to be a different color, you can come right up here, and let's pick white. Okay, so then there's like a nice matte for our gold square. So they're separate, so you can, you know, separate them. Here, if you want it, if you moved it and you want it lined up precisely, select both the offset and the square, and you can do the align and just click center. And there we go, it's all perfectly centered once again. So that is offset. And as I said, you can do that with text or images or whatever. I like to do it with text most, I think. Okay, so here is the size. So here is this little lock. And so that means no matter what way you drag it, the proportions will stay the same. So it will always be a square. And you can click and drag the handles like this to change the size. Okay, I think you can, so it'll go that way. But if you even, oh, you can. Oh, even with it locked. I just learned something. Okay, so I guess as long as you pull on the handles, if it's locked, it will always stay proportionate. But if you do the sides, you can change it. Huh. I'm gonna undo. I did not know that that did that. I'm gonna get back to our little square. Okay. So if it's locked and you change it to say 5 inches, it'll still be a 5-inch square. So if you change this side, that side will automatically change. No matter what shape you have, if this is locked, it will stay the same. If you want to create say a rectangle, you can click the little lock, it will unlock. And if you change this width, the height will stay the same. Or vice versa, if you change the height, the width will stay the same. Okay? So that is size. Rotate means just what it says. It can rotate, so you can click the little arrows, or let's undo that. Oh, I had a lot of clicking. Okay, let's select this again. Say you want it to rotate 90 degrees. Oh wait, not 0, 90. Make sure you get rid of that 0. Enter, and it will rotate 90 degrees. or say you want it to rotate 160 degrees, okay? So whatever you have, rotate does it. I don't use that very often unless I want it 90 degrees. Okay, so this X and Y position is just the position on your canvas. So if you move a shape, it will tell you the position on the canvas. Okay, so I don't think I've ever used this before at all. So I don't use that very well. I never have, but it could be helpful, I'm sure. So that's basically all of these operations. So I thought maybe we could do a little project. So let's get rid of everything but one square. So I just clicked and dragged over all that, and I'm gonna hit delete. Okay, so we have our one square. So let's say we wanna make a card. An A2 size card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So if we do unlock, we can type in 4.25 by 5.5. Okay, so but we want it to, we need the front and the back. So this 4 1/4 we need to double, so we can fold it in half. So we make it 8.5. Okay, so here is our card base. So we want the Cricut to score a line. So in our shapes, we go back in and they have a score line. So you just click on that and it will bring you in a score line. So we want it to be the same height as our card, which is 5 inches. If you click on your little rectangle, actually it's 5 1/2. Right? 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Yes. Okay, so then we select this, and it has no width, but it has a height. So let's make it 5.5. And then if we select the score line and the shape, we can do a line and then a line top. Okay, so now it's aligned in with the top, but we also want to center it on our card. So we do center horizontally, and I'm so glad they have these little pictures because I get horizontal and vertical confused. So we want to center it vertically. So now here's our card base. So you could just cut out card bases if you want, but let's zhuzh it up a little bit and we can add a shape to the front. Let's do a heart. Okay, so you can change the shape of your heart if you want. You know, if you want like a skinny, tall heart, you can do that, or you want it really big, you can do that. Let's just leave it how it originally is. Okay, so I just kind of eyeball, and you can use whatever color paper you have, but I always like to make it look sort of like how I'm going to have it look finished. So I like to have the heart, well, you know, like to have the colors that I'm going to use. You don't have to. And actually, I think I would like this heart just a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to use the arrow or the squares on the side to change that. And I just eyeball usually where I want it. And then, you know, you could use your stamps to stamp something, or if you wanted to, you can have the Cricut draw some text with a pen. I'm going to go over that later, so I'm not going to do that, but you could. So, or you could have the Cricut cut out the heart and have like a see-through card, and then you could glue this to the inside of the card. Let's do that. So we need to select our heart and this square. So I'm clicking shift and clicking on the square. So now our square and our heart are both selected. And if you look over here on the right at the bottom, under where it says blank canvas, we've got slice, combine, attach, flatten, and contour. So slice is what we want to do. It will cut out the heart out of this rectangle. But let's just show you these other options. So actually, those might work. Let me get some squares back out. I think that would be easier to show you. Let's duplicate that and have two. Let's make them different colors so it's easier to tell. Okay, so now we can have both selected and we can unite. Okay, so the color changed that. So this is one shape now. This is one that combined, united the shapes. So now they're both, it's one shape just like this. So let's undo that so I can show you the other options. Select them both. And you can subtract. Okay, so well, I can't remember. I think, well, I can't remember how to know which one it's going to subtract, but I think it subtracts the first shape. So basically it cut out what was overlapping out of this shape. I've actually never used this, so intersect is going to keep just the parts that were overlapping, so the opposite of the subtract. So subtract or intersect, so it's going to take away, or it's going to, you know, just keep that one piece. And now exclude, it just makes it to where this part is gone. So the parts that overlap, it subtracts away. Okay? So that is these things for combine. Or there's also weld, which is the same as unite, except unite you can undo. Okay? So this basically is one shape. And you can't manipulate either of the shapes separately because it's its own thing now. Okay? So let us actually just delete this. So what we want selected is the heart and the rectangle, not the line yet. And actually we want to slice, which is the same as subtract. But I don't know. I'm not familiar with these as much. These, if you use any sort of design software, you would be familiar with those. But this is kind of new to Cricut, so I'm not really used to using those. So I just do slice, and it will cut out this heart. So here's the heart we had on top. That's our original shape. Here's the shape cut out of the rectangle. And then there's the hole that it left. And you might think, where did my line go? It is still there. It is behind the rectangle now. Whenever you do a slice, it brings it to the top layer. So we can just click on this, do arrange, and send to back, and our line will show again. Okay, so we have, you know, this that we can glue inside the card. So it would go on this side, but underneath, you're on the opposite side of this paper. So when you fold your card, you have this on the inside. Or you could make it into a shaker or anything you want. So we don't need this, so we can delete that. But we have this line. And if we click make it, let's do it just for fun. We'll do it on a mat, 12 by 12. Okay, so this first mat has just the score line, but we want it to be on our rectangle. So let's click cancel. So if you ever go and your score line is not attached, you know you need to do this step, okay? I've done it many times. So you select your rectangle and your score line, whatever two things you need to be together, and then come down here and this is attach, okay? So now these are one, basically. So now if we click make it, it will, I'll show you real quick. Yes, okay. It will be on your rectangle, okay? So let's say we want to print. Say we don't have the color of pink that we want for this heart. So you can change the color. Let me rethink this. You can change the color to green, okay? But say you don't have green cardstock, you want it to print this green. There's a couple ways you can do it. Oh, okay. I was gonna show you how to do the flatten, but that won't work. You have to have two shapes. Okay, so say you have this rectangle or this, move this to the back. Okay, let's change this rectangle to white. Okay, so we have this. Say you want to have this rounded rectangle inside your card, okay? But you don't have this color green. You have a specific shade that you want. So with both of them highlighted, you can click this button over here on the right that's flatten. Okay, so now instead of cutting it, you can see it change to print then cut. Okay, so it will, the first thing that will happen is Cricut will send this to your printer. This will print out on your printer, and then Cricut will cut out. It will cut out only this rounded square, okay? And not the heart, okay? So that is flatten. So let's unflatten it. And so we've got this. And so let's see. I wanted to show you contour, but I don't think that will work for this. We'll do contour when we do images next time. Okay, so we don't actually want this square. So let's delete the square. Okay, so say we want a design on our heart and we don't have any pattern paper that we like. Okay, so right now it's a print then cut. And we don't want just a plain, we want a pattern. So let's click on, oh, okay, so have it say print then cut, and then click on the square, and up here it says print type, and you can do a color, or you can do a pattern. So let's click on pattern, and you'll have all these different kinds of patterns, okay? There are a ton of them. Plus you can upload your own. We'll get to that when we do upload. Okay, so let's see, that could look kind of cute on a heart. Okay, so say you want the cross hatches bigger. You can edit the pattern. And here's the scale. You can either use the arrows to make your pattern bigger or smaller. Okay, or you can use the slider, make it smaller, make it bigger. Sometimes the repeating lines are in there. So this isn't the best example of a pattern. Or say you want it You want to move, you see a certain spot in the pattern that you want, so let's see if that will get rid of that line. There we go. Okay, or you can flip the pattern either way, horizontally or vertically. Okay, so I like that. So you can just X out of that when it's how you want it. And so now we have print then cut, and it will print this. It will send it to your printer. Your printer will print this, and then Cricut will cut it out. Okay, so I think our project is ready to make. So let's click Make It. Okay, so this will print out on your printer, and then you will load it on your Cricut mat after it's printed, have the Cricut cut it out, and then it will do your card base. Okay, so let's show you how to do this. So I'm going to click Continue because I'm happy with, except this. I'm just going to use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So I'm going to click that, and it will change it to where it will cut out on that. Print then cut. Most people only have a printer that will do 8.5 by 11, so you don't need to worry about changing the paper size on that. Okay, I'm going to click Continue. Get my printer ready. Okay, so here your first thing, it says to print an image. Okay, so send to printer. And this will be different depending on what your printer is like. You can, it'll tell you, ask you which printer you want. If you want to use your printer's dialog box, you can click that, and it will open up your printer dialog. It might be behind Design Space. I'm fine with it just doing it like this. I'm going to click Print. Okay, I forgot that I had not turned on my machine. I'm going to reload to see if it'll recognize my machine now. Okay, so now my heart is printed. So it prints out like this with a black box around it. That's registration marks. That's just so that the Cricut can make sure it's going to cut in the right spot. So set base material. I just used regular printer paper. So let's go down to paper. Holy moly. There are a lot of, okay. Copy paper, it's 20 pounds. Done. Okay, so it is just gonna cut this out. So I'm gonna go load it and get it started. Okay, here's my heart, and I'm gonna load that in my machine. Then push the flashing C, and it will cut out. First, it will check the position, so it's gonna turn on a little light, and it will, if you can see the light, it's checking to make sure of where the registration marks are before it cuts out. So this takes a few minutes. Okay, now it's going to cut out, checking to make sure that the blade's in there. And now it should cut out just the heart. It won't cut out the black lines. Okay. And that's it. So I'm going to unload this and then move on to the next step. Okay, so now I'm on here, so I'm not using copy paper, I'm using cardstock. So I can keep the pressure, but I want to change from copy paper to just medium cardstock. Done. Okay, so they want me to use the scoring wheel in clamp B because I don't want to change tools in the middle of the cut. I'm going to use my scoring stylus and click apply. So now I need to put my scoring stylus in clamp A and make sure my fine point blade's in there and then push the load button. So I'm going to go do that. All right, I'm going to get my scoring stylus and put that in. You want to kind of push up on the bottom and just click down and then close that up. And I've got my cardstock on my mat right here. So I'm going to load that up. And then press my flashing C and I will cut that out. First it will do the scoring. Okay, that is done. Unload this, get it off the mat, and finish the card. So once your project is all cut out, you can just click done. And then if you think you might want to do this again, make this project again, you can click save. And you can just say cut out heart card. And you can put it in birthday cards or Christmas or whatever your collection it would fit with. I'm going to do birthday cards and click save. Okay, and then it says it was saved successfully. And then that's it. So you can just exit out of this and you're all done. So here are the pieces for my card. Now the scoring line is pretty hard to see. Maybe you could see it better on this side. Anyway, it's there. If you just fold where it is, it will kind of show up. Or you could just fold in half. And you can use a bone folder to get a good crease on that. Okay, so there's the base. And then you can just take your heart, and I would glue it with the card shut. I'm just gonna use this tape runner because if I used glue, liquid glue, it wouldn't work very good on this thin copy paper. Whoops. Okay, so just line it up in that opening. Okay, and then you open it up, and there's the cute heart inside. And like I said, you could stamp something or, you know, put something right there to help decorate the outside or not. And then just, you can write your personal message right there. So it's a quick, simple card that you can make with just shapes in Design Space. That should do it. Thanks for watching. Bye.